Hello everybody, this is a quick review of Denon avr-4810 and Denon avr-4311. For those of you who are still considering one of those receivers, I just want to give you a few points about which one to get and why not. On your left you see Denon 4810, on your left 4311. As you can see, there's a difference in size, approximately maybe an inch, 2.5 inches higher, and approximately maybe half an inch longer. So not that much as far as depth. Both receivers are currently discontinued. However, you can definitely get 4311 still, brand new. You might get lucky and get a 4810 at some point. So, front face, main differences. As you can see, the knobs for input selector and volume knob are the same. The difference is though, when you spin the 4311 and then 4810, 4810 spins more freely and it's got more positive clicks on it, so it's easy to actually feel the that little click as you turn the knob. Same with the volume, and unfortunately same with the selector. You know, you feel a lot more positive selector here. And it comes into play, I notice, when I adjust and I try to select the input with the knob on 4311, sometimes I find myself like in between the clicks and the input changes. It's just not as accurate as the 4810 is. So that's as far as the knobs. The front face little window is slightly larger, maybe on 4810, not much. As far as the buttons here on the left, you see here on 4810 you have actually power on and off switch. So before you actually turn the receiver on, this button here would turn like the initial power on, and then you would turn the power on. On top here you have all the same buttons except for the last one. Here on 4810 you have video select, which would let you select music from a different source, but then select video from a different source. So you could have music playing and then you could select the video from let's say a video camera or something like that. Here you have iPod Direct button. When you press that button, iPod is going to play, and that's basically the main difference. Under the door here, if you noticed, 4810 still has optical in and Super VHS in. Everything else is pretty much the same. As you notice here on 4311, those are missing. And you still have iPod Direct USB on both units, as well as the headphone jack. On the right side you see quick select buttons. You have 3 of them. Both the receivers have the same thing. So as far as the weight, 4810 is approximately 4 to 5 pounds heavier than 4311. However, I like the way the weight is distributed on 4311 because the transformer is directly in the middle of the receiver. 4810, however, has the transformer to far left, so it's very left heavy, if you will. Okay, so let's spin these babies around and show you what the back looks like. It's only 4 pounds, but you can feel the difference. Okay, so as you can probably already see, you have two extra speaker outputs. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, actually 15 speaker outputs. And that's because and I'm talking 15 sets. Okay, so, and that's because this receiver is a phone zone receiver, 4 zone, I'm sorry, and this one is a 3 zone, I believe, if I remember correctly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you have 11. Here you have 15. Another thing that I like that is not very common now in the receivers, except for Sony, the higher end, is that I do like the switchable AC outlets, due to the simple fact that, let's say for example you want to connect a cooling fan or any other little gizmo that you have that does not pull a lot of power, but you want it to turn on as you turn on your receiver. So that's another thing. As far as HDMI's, the 4311 has one extra one, and it's also 3D capable, whereas 4810 is not 3D capable. Both of them have dual monitor outputs. I personally do not care about 3D, so it's not an issue here. Same two triggers. I wish the 4810 had 3, but it's got 2. 4311 also has 2 triggers. They both have denon link 4th, the old implementation of a clock control from Denon. So they both have the same thing here. They both have USB on the back also, and it's selectable. You can connect your iPod to it or a USB drive. As far as the inputs, you probably noticed that 4810 has a little bit more analog inputs, and they're also gold plated instead of silver like on 4311. And you know, you can definitely see the $1,000 difference in price here between the two receivers. As far as both receivers are still made in Japan, which is a good thing, I think. As far as the power, 4810 holds quite well, from what I understand, up to 5 channels driven at the same time. And then once you connect the extra 2 to 7, the power drops off pretty significantly. Whereas with 4311, it still kind of hangs on with 7 channels driven. They haven't done. I haven't seen anybody testing actually 9 channels driven at the same time. I don't know what that would be like. Transformer seems to be a little bit bigger in 4810. However, I don't know why the drop off of the power is so much. As far as the sound quality, and here's where the 4810 shines. It really is much better. The bass. Oh, another thing I want to mention, speaking of bass, is that 4810 has 3 subwoofer outputs. So it's actually a 11.3 channel receiver, which you don't see too often on Denon's receivers. The only 2 that had that feature was 4308, and from the newer ones, maybe the older ones have that, but and 4810, which in my case is a good thing because I have 3 subs. And from what I understand, they're not really like a splitter built in, because when you run the calibration on these, each subwoofer goes through its own calibration. So I'm not quite 100% sure on that, but I don't think it's just a regular splitter. As far as the Odyssey goes, the 4311 has the new type, the XT32, which is supposed to be higher resolution, and it's supposed to calibrate your subs. Well, when I ran the 4810 calibration, it still calibrated my subs, so I don't know really how that changes. And to be honest with you, I did not notice much of a difference between the regular Odyssey calibration and XD32. And definitely Denon 4810 sounds much better. There's no doubt. It sounds so much better. And I think it has to do with the fact that 4810 has advanced, they call it AL24 processing, but that processing is for all channels. Whereas, from what I understand, the 4311 is 2 channels. So, you know, for stereo music, listening to stereo, it would be fine, but you will notice when you go to multi-channel a pretty big improvement in sound quality coming from 4810. One thing that I do not like, let me tell you what I don't like about 4810. I don't like the fact, the first thing that foremost is the remote control. It just sucks. Remote control for 4810 was probably one of the biggest mistakes that Denon made. No good at all. So remote control, if you were, let's say, were on the market to buy these two, the thing you would consider, okay, do I need 3D and do I need 4K? 4K is nowhere near, so you're probably safe for another 2-3 years with 4K. You may be able to buy 4K TV and a projector, but you will not see 4K content for a long time. So 4K is not an issue here. If you are into 3D, then you would probably have to go with 4311 due to the fact that it passes 3D. I personally can't stand it. It just it bothers me. I already wear glasses, and I can't. I just can't see myself putting glasses on top of my glasses. It would just be too painful to sit for 2 hours and watch a movie like that. So that is not really a big concern for me. And if you were just to look, if you were looking, because 4311 still, if you notice, 4311 still holds the price quite well. You can get a new one now for approximately $1,300 to $1,400. For example, I think Crutchfield still sells them at no, Crutchfield sells them at $1,599, I think. But you can get one, you know, on eBay, maybe for $1,300. And if you notice, the new one, the 4520, it hovers around that price also. It hovers around $1,500–$1,600, and it's a brand new receiver, which tells me that, you know, if somebody's looking for a bargain and they want a decent receiver, this is still a good deal. The 4311 is really still a good deal, and if you can get one, I'm sure you're going to be happy with its performance. One main thing that also I neglected to mention is 4810 is a wireless receiver, which means it will connect to your network wirelessly and will stream your content. For example, some pictures, internet radio, and your music from your computer without any wires. And for me, for example, it's a big deal because my router is in a completely different area of the house. So I've noticed with the new receivers coming out this year, next year, more and more people are putting in wireless features in, where you are able to connect your receiver without any wires to your network. Now this in 5308 had that feature, 3-4 years ago. So this is kind of step ahead of the game for Denon in that direction. 4311 does have, with the upgrade, if you buy an older unit but new in the box, let's say somebody had it in the box for the last 2 years and they still have the old stock and you pick up a brand new unit, you with the upgrade over the network, you will upgrade this receiver to AirPlay compatible receiver, which means you're going to be able to play your music from your iTunes or from your iPhone. I personally checked that out, and it works with my computer, but it does not work well with my iPhone, for example. So if I have my iPhone connected to the same network as the receiver is, I wasn't able to play my music directly from my iPhone. And I called Denon about this particular issue, and they informed me that I should have my ports open. I believe he said the port was 5353. He says that's the port for iTunes, for AirPlay. But I told him, I understand that, but it works on my laptop. So why wouldn't it work on my iPhone or my iPad? So anyway, I wasn't able to check it out. This isn't that big of a deal. I find it easier to just, drop my iPod in the dock and just play the music from there. As far as the network here, you notice that if you buy this receiver, you're going to be able to control it through an app that Denon provides for 4311. However, that app sucks. It's one of the worst apps out there, and it does not work well at all. Both of these units are controllable through like a web page. You can actually go on the receiver's web page and control its functions on the web page. And also, let me just turn this off here. Also, I would like to say that what you can do here is you can pick up one of those IO Gear sells. It's an adapter that would basically you plug it into an Ethernet port, and then it would convert the Ethernet into a wireless signal, and it's USB powered also. So if you're not using a USB jack in the back, you can actually use it to power your IO Gear network wireless adapter. And that way you can avoid running a wire, because you are required to run a wire from 4311 for Ethernet purposes, for internet purposes. Again, 4810 does not require you to do that. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. Again, obviously there's a $1,000 difference when new between these two receivers, and you can definitely tell the difference. Right now, if you're looking for good quality sound, I noticed that all the companies don't really make the receivers as they used to. I know it's due to the economy and due to the fact that people don't have $4,000 to spend on receivers. But on the same token, you get a lot less for that money. You buy a receiver nowadays, it's basically there is no pressure, and there is no, as far as audio, it seems like a receiver nowadays is a HDMI hub where you just connect all your devices and play some music, but that music is not of very good quality. So if you're in the market right now and you can still pick up one of the old receivers like 4810, 5308, you will be happy with the sound quality. And both of those, by the way, do ProLogic 2Z and DSX 11 channel audio. So that's all I got. Good luck and enjoy your day.